fascist LARPing is just Warhammer.
Okay, that's not wrong.
I got to give him a point there. It's actually quite accurate.
As someone who played a shit ton of Warhammer as a kid, it was very much like a lot of my, learning about my political beliefs was looking back and seeing the dude in the Wehrmacht hat and going, maybe he wasn't a good person. But
good grief.
Just maybe.
We all had different exposure to it, right? Everyone found out what was good and what was bad. Some of us learned it from cartoons, and some of us learned it from fucking Warhammer.
From people.
Some of us learned it in actual history lessons at school.
Oh, wow. Look
really?
At Hap learning about history like he has a functioning
You mean the European
educational
system is actually worthwhile? Dude.
Wow, you have no clue, dude. We learn literally every single thing.
This is a bunch of shit.
Why did I learn about a whole bunch of wars that didn't matter for anything?
Europe is OP. I'd like to nerf them. Mods? Devs, can we get a Europe nerf?
Thank you.
We can nerf them all effectively.
Is it nerfed already?
25%.
We can nerf the entire EUL and still have 2 Australian people to carry the whole thing. We'll be okay.
What, you mean like what's happening right now?
Oh,
come on, Chowder. You didn't have to do this all like that.
Oh, no. You can't say that when he's
leave
right
now.
here.
I can't leave. I mean, I have the APEC logo on the back right now, so it's fine, right?
Good grief.
So do you have like 2 boards back there, or is it just...
It's not even a board. It's just a frame, and I pull off like the tarp, and I put on the new tarp every single day. But it's 3x2. And, I have to stand on my toes if I actually want to be able to.
Yeah. So for those of you listening in audio, about 30 minutes ago, Hap just finished up his EU League broadcast. By the way, this is...
No?
APAC North League broadcast.
APEC North.
I'm good at this.
You're wonderful.
So on the program today, we have Hap, whose first name is unpronounceable, and his last name is also unpronounceable. So if you want to pronounce it for us real quick.
It's Stein Happers, all right?
Stein Happers.
Okay, so a bit of background here. I'm going to type in the chat right now what my username used to be. This used to be my tag when I was a player.
Yeah, and no one would be able to know what that...
No. And, like, Kickstar came over to the Benelux to cast it, and he's like, I'm not going to pronounce that name, he's Hap from now on. I was like, thinking, of future references, maybe internationally, I think that's a good choice. So I went with it. So that's the reason behind it.
Jacob, could you just copy and paste that into Twitch chat so they can see?
I can copy and paste that, yeah.
Yeah, because that's...
Yeah, copy-paste that.
On my side, I don't know.
No one knows how to pronounce that.
Start, yeah. So what we really ended up doing is we just grabbed some random Dutch guy off the street who's for some reason plays Siege at least half decently well, or used to, or he's washed up now. But now he has a job doing it at a T1 level. Already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was the last time you did anything like you played competitively? Like 2018? Like
I think 2018, yeah. I did do some scrims this year as well, stepping in for a team. Actually didn't do that bad. I managed to get quite some kills out, but no. It's a long time ago. It's 1.5 year, 1 year, 8 months, something like that.
Oh, that's
so you've been back in the casting shtick for a pretty long time compared to where you started in Siege as a player, but no one knows about that because if you go to your Wikipedia page and you click on the tab that it starts with as a commentator, the tab on Wikipedia, but then if you click on the tab that says as a player, it comes up with 3 Benelux Go Fours, and you're like, what? That's all he did. He barely played.
It's not a Go For really. We had Go Fours, which would qualify you for the finals. The finals were played on LAN actually. So we had back then it was called Benelux Championships, but on Wikipedia they named it wrong. So they were called the Championships, but on Wikipedia they're called the Go Fours. And as soon as they turned it into Benelux League, which is going on, well, not anymore now, but finished.
Just finished up with the I believe the Lowland Lions winning.
Yeah, right? Lowland Lions won, but it was
they actually won those.
Yeah.
They oh my god, they did.
Those.
That's incredible.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
I mean, hey, Lowland Lions win those. Diffuse Kids don't win those.
Diffuse Kids.
I mean, there's this thing, right? Diffuse Kids as an org, they've had this issue where they basically in every game they just fell short of tier 1 every single time because they choked. Quite honestly,
more games than just Siege, right?
More games than just Siege. So it started becoming a brand for them. So I think they rebranded quickly to this old Dutch org that was actually pretty big in League of Legends and stuff like that at the early days. So maybe that will help them to actually reach Pro League the next time around, or EUL now.
Yeah, they got to go through CL to do it. But no, the team that came out of Benelux was who was it? It was Sector 1?
Sector 1, yeah.
Yeah, the team that actually qualified for Challenge League, because Lowland Lions are obviously already in CL. Yeah, exactly. So instead, the page doesn't update. I have to go look and see. Oh, it's completely mixed. Okay. Netherlands, Sweden, Austria, Germany, and another player from the Netherlands. Like the
Sector 1. Yeah.
Yeah, Sector 1's a whole mixed nationality one.
Well, that's true.
With the exception of there being 2 Dutch players on there. That's all.
Benelux as a region is a mixed natural.
Yeah, right, but I find it really interesting how all of Benelux, it's like it's only ever been like everyone is like, there's like 2 players from the same country and everyone else all comes from a different country. It almost feels like there's just very, very few people from that or teams from that region that are ever all like from the same nationality.
It's almost not possible to achieve that because honestly, there's like little, I'm not going to say talent because there's quite a lot of talent in here, but there's little people that are motivated enough to actually like try and push together as a full national team. Like the Fuse Kids was actually the first one who did it back then. Trust Gaming, they had like 4 Dutch guys and the Belgian guys that all spoke the same language. They beat Liquid on DreamHack, so it showed the potential if you do it. But they weren't able to stick. Like some changes came through eventually, but none of the other Benelux orgs have been able to, or teams have been able to actually put a roster together like that. And it started already during the championships because my team was also filled with like a Norwegian and a Swedish guy to fill up because you have that 3-5 rule. You need to have 3 out of 5 people need to come from the Benelux or be resident there, unless your organization is in the Benelux. Then.
Right.
So that's why Sector 1 only has 2.
Gotcha. No, I just looked at everyone else who also made it to the Benelux finals, and I'm like, yep, nope, everyone's different.
Yeah, we're very multicultural.
Which, that's honestly cool, because I think if you were to like split up all of those, we talk about the Europe national programs a lot on this podcast, I've noticed. But if you were to take like every country that's in Benelux, so Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, is that the other one?
Yes.
I think it is. So all 3 of those.
We've never seen a Luxembourgian player, by the way, just so you know. It's just there for.
There's never been one.
It's just there for because if you call it the Bene region, everyone's going to think it's Italian.
I mean, many people say Bene. Like in Dutch, it says Bene region, which would be okay. Like other games do it. We've had some Luxembourgian players, I have to say, but we clapped them 7-0 in the actual Go Force and it never came back. So like, it wasn't the best idea to just go completely ham on them. But
no.
What's the current population of Luxembourg right now?
3?
About that?
No, there's like I think like 300,000 people.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
It's a moderately sized city. If I'm remembering correctly.
I've had this discussion with people, right? No, there's 600,000 people, actually. And I said, like, in Amsterdam, there's not even 1 million people living in Amsterdam. And people are like, what? There's not 1 million people. I don't think there is. Let me just quickly check if I'm actually right.
I've like low-key heard that Luxembourg actually isn't a terrible country to live in. But I don't know.
No, it's super rich. It's a super rich kingdom. Like, there's a lot of rich people living there. I believe there's also low taxes. So it's like, it's actually...
Oh, it's a tax haven for rich European people.
Well, we all know that the Netherlands is actually the tax haven because if you have like, the whole tax system, you can literally have 0% tax if you sign up your company here. So, Starbucks,
I learned something today.
They all do that stuff. Like they let the money go through the Netherlands to be rent-free or tax-free.
Okay. I guess I think the point I'm trying to make is more like if you tried to split all 3 regions that are within Benelux up into their own national programs, I just don't think it would have gone anywhere.
No.
Right? I mean,
I think you could possibly do a Finnish league, but I think other than that,
no.
You can have like 4 teams in a Finnish league.
Yeah, but like, okay, so the thing is, right?
What's the standard of competition though? Like the standard of play, if you keep splitting it up, just keeps getting lower.
The more countries you add, the higher the competition will be. That's why the EUL will always have a higher competition than either GSA, French League, Benelux, Spain, Italy, UK, Ireland National. So like the more countries you add, the better it is. But like with the way the Challenge League works right now, do you really want to have like a separate Finland league to decide for one of the spots?
No.
Nah. I think it's good to get some regions together. Like the only countries that don't is I believe Poland, French. Actually, French does it as well. So it's basically only Italy and Poland that do not have multiple countries in their in the lineup.
For ones that I think so, yeah. I mean,
France
UK,
has, like,
UK and Ireland, and then
French-speaking
Spain.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Spain, I believe, is also Iberia, so Portugal in there. But I'm not really sure if that's true. So it could be just Spain, but I've heard people say that Portugal is also eligible to play. And Russian Major League is also like Ukraine, I believe. So
yeah,
like,
Russian Major League is more CIS than RUS. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think Spain just mentions, Spain only needs 3 players to reside within Spain, so everything else outside of that is fine. But it doesn't. So it's not meant to be like a Portuguese national program. If that ends up, just being where players come from, then that's cool. Are there any currently? I'm just scanning through it. There is currently 1 Portugal player in the entire of the Spanish national player. Scene. Yeah, just 1.
You picture that. Portuguese player.
Portuguese player? Sorry, Portugal. Yeah. Portuguese.
A Dutch guy has to improve you on your grammar right now. That's kind of...
Yeah, but the only time I ever have to say Portuguese is when I'm referring to the language that everyone in BR6 speaks. That's the only time I ever have to talk about it.
Oh.
Let me look at it. Now, I think part of me wonders whether or not GSA could have been split a little bit. Like, would there not be enough?
No.
Not for a German national league? That would have been the only thing I would have thought.
For Germany, it would be.
Yeah.
But, like, Switzerland and like Austria are so small compared to Germany. Like Germany is like 81 million inhabitants or something, but those other two, they don't even come close to that. So it's better to just group them all together.
Yeah, and also in general, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland also all share the same language, which is
which is also the reason why the French league also allows French-speaking Belgians to play in the French league. Which not many people know, but it's actually allowed. Like we've had French people play there, Belgian people play there.
Yeah, because
and isn't Rise is Belgian, but speaks French. Yeah.
There's 3 different types of Belgians. There's the German Belgians, the French Belgians, and the Flemish. And we do not speak about the Flemish.
Yeah. The Flemish are coming most close to the Dutch, though. Actually, most close to me. I live on the border between like the Netherlands and Belgium, right? So people often say, like, I don't understand the Flemish. I have no issue. I can understand it perfectly clean.
Well, I've just been there.
If you can understand Dutch, you could probably understand most languages because Dutch is.
It's funny because I understand German like completely, right? Like I can understand every single word you throw at me, but I cannot speak it, right? So when I was at Allied, I mean, if you're giving me the words, I can pronounce them properly, but I cannot make them up for myself. So it's like,
you could get through a German airport and read everything and know where you're supposed to go and hear everything without having to like ask for directions. Yeah,
it's basically the same language as Dutch, honestly. Dutch is just okay. So the German have evolved the Germanic language more than the Dutch did, so we are closer to the original Germanic language. Yeah, but, like. It's just the evolved version of our own language, so it's easy to read.
Yeah, Germans are more and Dutch are more.
They're rough, right? And we have like very.
Which one tears up the inside of your trachea to speak it? I've always assumed it was German.
I think it's Dutch.
It's Dutch.
Is it Dutch? Is Dutch harder to just harder to speak straight up?
I think it's harder to get like because we have very soft and very hard sounds, and that's something that is not in like. Being used for the English, because if you say Scheveningen, you're not going to be able to do that. But German, I don't think is going to be able to do that either. So.
No, German is much more monotone, and Dutch also has just infinitely more vowel sounds.
That I can vouch for, because there are times when I tuned into you and Tolder Smallcasting at the same time, and I'm just like, bruh, what am I listening to?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how to speak Dutch properly, to be pretty honest with you.
You've been paid to do it. Yeah, sorry. I don't need the basic qualification for speaking the language you want me to cast.
I mean, Jacob, it's not like either of us speak English.
No, we don't speak English. Of course not. I don't even speak the one language I'm semi-fluent in decently. Like, yeah.
I mean, when Milan, like the Ubisoft employee, he asked me to do it in Dutch. I'm like, not too sure I will be able to actually provide you a good cast, but I'll give it a go. It's actually horrible. I don't know how to say single saying because I've been, like, in my head, I've been translating them all to, like, the English version. So I tried to translate it back into Dutch, which doesn't really work well. So it's like, Yeah. So Dutch,
with
really
that in mind, then I've actually been curious about the answer to this question ever since you started with EUL. Which language are you more confident casting in English than you are in Dutch?
Yeah, no, I am. Like my English casting is like 5 to 10 times better than my Dutch one, honestly.
Got it.
So you should see the chat when I start casting in Dutch. Damn, they would have been really going ham in that case.
So are you kind of leaning into Toldersma like for any of those Benelux casts, just being like,
for
hey,
Dutch, I was, yeah. I mean, I started out like Toldersma is a very experienced caster, right? Like he casted CS:GO and many other games like way before I even started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He casted basically most of my games as a player as well. And I came in as this ex-player who actually like scrimmed tier 2 teams and all that kind of stuff. So I knew what the game was about. I'm just not good enough to win. That's how simple it is. I wasn't good enough. I couldn't click the head, so we didn't win.
Yeah.
And, but I had a lot of game knowledge, so I brought that in. And Toldersma, he didn't really know the game, so he taught me how to cast, and I taught him how the game works really. And then it started to balance out. And then when we're finally at that sweet spot where our English cast is like pretty perfect, we're going to Dutch, and I was like, okay, to learn how to cast all over again. Like,
was that just because I mean, for Benelux cast, it would have just been, yeah, well, these are the people who are playing, so we will assume we'll have a much larger audience that comes from that region, so speak that language, stupid.
Now
just speak it.
There's been a lot of conversation about this on Twitter as well, with people that were really upset about the fact that we went to the Dutch language. But I'll give you some numbers and you can decide whether or not it was a good business decision. Like, I was working on the project as my final internship, as my for my thesis, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We went to Dutch casting because over season 3 to season 4, we went down in viewership in English and we averaged out on 70 viewers each stream. That's not a lot. If you look at the other nationals, the L will be going up about 400. We swapped over to Dutch. We got about 15,000 unique viewers each day. And that's not even front page, right? So first of all, that used to be 3,000 with the English broadcast. And we were averaging out on like 300 viewers or something. So we basically increased our viewership immensely, which is going to be more interesting for partners to come up in the Benelux and say like, hey, you know what? We want to sponsor some money in there because, you know, it's still all coming out of Ubisoft's pocket, really. And at some point, it needs to be a self-sustaining league as well. So
right.
It's reasons. So I think that
that seems like that's just a massive jump. Like more, I guess, more than I was expecting because I didn't know like how big viewership would have been for a region like that. But hey, that's honestly really cool.
And now everybody's saying it would have been bigger if it was in English because it's about CL now. But like half our season was without knowing that it was for CL. So, you know, and the first half of the season was actually the best one compared to the second one. So when it wasn't known that we would qualify for CL, we did better in Dutch. So
yeah,
I kind of rendered that argument void, but hey,
then I guess I wonder if you could make the same argument for any of the national programs, just having a spike in viewership because it was for CL. Because I mean, I think on my perspective, as someone who still is an avid consumer of a lot of Siege, even if sometimes it feels a little bit overwhelming these days. But I think the first time I like seriously started tuning into like Nordic broadcasts was after they made the Challenge League announcement at that point. I'm like, you know what, I'll watch more of this, one, because I don't know that much about it and I'm cool to learn about it, and two, there are now higher stakes that everyone can be way more invested in as a result. But I don't know if that was like the same case for every league being like, oh, hey, Challenger League now has a spot for the winner of this. Maybe we should watch more of this to get like more of an insight, I suppose.
Something to keep in mind, GSA and French League, they have like a lot of the Pro League teams as well, right? Of the EUL teams.
Right, yeah.
So if you're going to be like competing with that and you're on like, for example, like everything would be English, there's no way Benelux would be getting views. And if you can watch a language you don't understand anyway, and you either watch a Pro League team or you watch a Benelux team, you're going to be watching your Pro League team play. So we decided to go to Dutch because it's kind of a unique selling point in that case. So like the Dutch-speaking people can actually listen to esports in their own language, which in my opinion also managed to get some of the viewership in.
Yeah.
But yeah, like GSA, French League, and UCAN, they really be hammering on like the viewership of the other nationals, just because they're perceived as more competitive, which in some case they are, of course.
What's the opinion on trying to find a way to provide like a secondary broadcast in a language that isn't like a secondary English broadcast for some of the leagues then? Because I do remember there was a point where I mean, yeah, but when GSA first started, everyone was like, or I think Milos dropped a hint, was like, hey, we're trying to see if we can't maybe put together an English cast for like the start of GSA before EUL started. And like, that would be cool because I would absolutely be more down to watch it. And I think the only time I've ever really watched GSA is just, like in the background, just like with it muted because I want to understand a darn word.
I think the only thing that really matters though is the finals to be broadcasted in English, because that's where it will be decided who goes to Challenger League, really.
Yeah, okay.
It's not the online season. So I would totally be up to cast every single final in English. And I know that for the Benelux, they're thinking as well to create a secondary stream for English the next season. But, budgets and everything, you cannot just put two streams up suddenly with the same budget. It's more expensive.
If I'm remembering correctly, I believe in France, there are some legal weird shit with
in a lot of European countries.
Yeah, with what language sports are broadcasted.
Oh, is that
it's
a thing?
Only locally, though, I think. I'm not sure if it's online. I think it's only locally. So if you cast on LAN, then it does have to be in the native language.
Yeah, because I remember during the Paris major, the
Italian Pro League finals as well. Same thing.
So it's all in the country's language. Right?
That makes sense.
You know which country doesn't have that law, by the way? I believe it's the Netherlands. I think we don't have that law. I'm pretty sure we don't. So, I'm just hinting here, like the
language of the casters that's being broadcast over like the event's PA system, it still has to correspond to like that country. Is that the point?
The official language. That
makes sense. Yeah, because I know
in the stadium,
like Brazil did that for every event that's ever happened in Brazil too. That's just like they're going to speak Portuguese. They're not going to speak English or any other one, because I assume that was just predominantly because most of the people that would attend an event like that would come from the country that spoke that language.
In some places, it might be that. In France, that's a law.
Okay, that makes more sense. I didn't know that was a restriction.
Well, France has.
No, it was actually a big drama on Twitter back then as well, with everybody saying, "Why is it being casted in Italian in the studio? If I knew this, I wouldn't have come," and all that kind of stuff.
So France is weird because France has a government body that regulates French.
Right? Regulates the whole language?
Yes. So, like, they decide, in English,
I'm learning stuff today. I'm cool with
the Oxford English Dictionary. We have, like, Merriam-Webster. We have a lot of these different dictionaries. And so those lexicographers will sort of develop and understand the language and write it down as it's said, right? It's why YOLO is in the dictionary, as much as people don't want it to be. People say YOLO, and so it's an English word.
It hasn't been a thing since 2014. Let it die, please.
Right.
Let's revive it, Chowder.
We're doing it. We're doing YOLO, right?
Yeah.
YOLO.
We're not putting that on
We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. So, so in France, there's I forget what it's called, but it's like the official French language university or something in French. I could be totally butchering that, but basically they control all of the French dictionaries, the official French dictionaries, right? In Quebec, they speak Quebecois French, which is different. But in France, it is very much the government runs the French language because you must keep French.
Okay.
We have like a Dutch organization as well that keeps track of our language. But that didn't stop me from casting in bad Dutch anyway, so,
They're just sitting there like, we can't stop him. He's too powerful.
He's too powerful, dude. It's like, it's a dream come true, right? If you're finally coming through to tier 1, and I wouldn't have expected it with the, I was still doing my studies, business IT and management. I was in my graduating year. And my idea was, all right, like as soon as I finish, I'm going to take a year off, see if I can break through. And then if I break through, I'll do something with that. Otherwise, I'll get into like a working field. But then, it came up right as I was doing my thesis or dissertation. And, I was like, nice. All right. Like, let's go. Let's go for it. I'm going to go like 200% for this, even during my thesis.
So as soon as you finished your thesis, you were going to spend a year.
I had my defense call on like the second EUL day, right? So I was actually from like 11 to 3, I had the call with my school where they were attacking me on what I did because they didn't understand
Your thesis defense was 4 hours?
Like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, right?
Holy
Something like that.
shit!
And I have like 1 hour to get ready, and then I went straight into cast. So I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
I could not imagine defending my thesis for 2.5 hours.
They absolutely did not have a single clue what they were talking about. And we're like, but what is esports really? I'm like, oh,
fuck. Oh, no.
Here we go.
That's a discussion I don't want to have with my parents. You kidding me?
People play video games for a living.
Play that?
Yeah.
You can be professional at this 3D graphics competition? What?
What is this?
I don't understand.
The worst way to actually say esports, 3D graphics competition, Jacob.
I keep on seeing people spell esports the wrong way consistently, and that pisses me off. So I'm just being like,
bring back cyber athlete? That was the best one.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that's a part of the CCS name is Cyber Athlete Championship Series. That's right? So cool. Yeah,
those are literally cyber athletes.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be, what was it? It was like the CWG, the Cyber World Games.
I think they had something like that. Yeah, they had like an official world championships, like the Olympics, but like for video games. And then,
dang, that's cool.
Yeah, they used to run until like.
There.
You did, or
one of them?
The Dutch?
No, the Netherlands, not me, the Dutch. But like, when the Dutch do well, we say we. You know, it's a whole.
Yeah, because there's 7 of you. All right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not that many of us.
There are double the amount of people in the Netherlands than there are in Luxembourg, and that's not saying much. What, I made the joke about Luxembourg having 4 people. Never mind, this is bad.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not really.
Wait, you got the. You said that was the second day of EUL.
Yeah,
when you had to defend your thesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually had to reschedule it because first I wanted to do it during the APAC day, and I'm like, wow, I'm kind of busy till like 6. Like, any chance we can make something happen? And
I'm busy working on the practical part of my thesis.
They're like, no, you cannot do that. I'm like, but I'm in Paris. And they're like, why are you in Paris? My new job. I wasn't in Paris, but it doesn't matter. Like, my new job. And they're like, oh, well, in that case, if you already found something, then yeah, sure, we can make something happen. So,
yeah. I know that when you got to the EUL, not everything was, I guess, ideal. And that I'm hoping that's been locked in because you're no longer going through a full talent rotation every single match every week. Which is something I remember watching and thinking, is there any way that they can please just lock this in so that there's dedicated duos like every single time? And then I'm hoping that that's actually what's happened starting Monday? Yeah. Are you and Jess are like locked in like every match from like here on out?
At least the remainder of the stage. So
let's go.
But the thing is, right? We're talking about this and everybody expects us to come in with pre-made duos. But we do not have Stokes and Blue. We do not have Kix and Intero, right? We have Des and Ace, but they were in both contracted. So in that case, are you going to be locking us in duo straight away, and it might not work out at all, and end up for a like way worse broadcast? Or are you going to like try let us get some synergy with people and see who we like to work with most? Because it was a mutual decision. Me and Jess said we would like to really work with each other, and Dev and Gio also said like we feel most confident with one another as well. So. Because of that, we basically had no issues assigning duos right now. No bad blood or anything like that. Like, no, I wanted to cast with Dev. Why are you wanting to cast with
no odd man out?
Yeah. So like everybody just found their place and who they're most comfortable with right now, and that I think is a better setup to go for a good duo than if you would have paired us from the start, and it wouldn't have worked out in the long run. And then, well, our careers in Siege will be over anyway. So it's like, let us try and find who we still smoothest with.
Yeah. And I mean, this is what, like week 4?
Yes,
right?
The 4th week right
it's
now.
It's the 4th week of an entirely new format with an entirely new tournament organizer with an entirely new league.
We had 21 days
Yeah.
We did know that there were going to be bumps, and I think everyone kind of should have had the expectation.
We know that as well.
Yeah, but I guess the only real like sucky part about it is like, well, we had to do this and we had to get everyone to like, I guess, learn everyone's or one another's tendencies while doing T1 at the same time, like on a broadcast.
It's not ideal,
then like,
there's no real other choice. Only 4 people have been gifted the spot of Tier 1, right?
Yeah.
And Milos doesn't want to cast anymore. He wants to be on the desk. He wants to cast every now and then, but not. So that leaves us with, like 2 people, and they're both in NA right now. So no one else got experience. For all the EU tournaments we've had, there was little to no European representation. So there was almost no chance for like European talent to break through. And then we have the EUL, which mainly European talent is going to be hired for. But we haven't had a shot yet, right? So it's like, it's hard to have these established duos ready.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, in a lot of other esports, there aren't necessarily like established duos. I remember, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I remember watching HOTS esports.
Can we stop bringing up Heroes of the Storm whenever?
No.
I don't watch Heroes of the Storm.
We started the podcast with the OHG co-founder about Heroes of the Storm, and we railed on it for like 2 minutes.
I love Heroes of the Storm. So,
I thought it was a dead esport.
It is a dead esport, but Heroes of the Storm, back when it existed, before they killed it.
When did it exist?
Shut up. So,
I think honestly, Chowder, I think that the Pokemon MMO will have a better viewing, that Heroes of the Storm will have. I honestly think that.
Isn't Canadian's brother a Heroes of the Storm player? I just heard him.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, creepy. He just heard that from across the world and cringed. Oh no.
Oh Jesus, Hap! You
better
can't
switch to
come
Pokemon.
for their throat like that.
Oh no. Anyway, you were talking. You brought up your.
So Heroes of the Storm didn't necessarily have like a lot of duos. And it also took them a little bit to figure out sort of what they were doing and what was going on, right?
No, okay.
But once they got it, it worked well. But those guys had all worked with each other for like, I don't know, 2 years?
Like 2 years, and then they figured out, hey, we should probably like lock people in.
No. They never locked people in.
Oh, just straight up never. Okay.
Yeah. They never locked people in, and you worked with who you wanted to work with. And so sometimes there were like, people would want to work with this person on this cast because they were good at, maybe one person knew more about the Korean team and that kind of stuff, but it was more fluid. And that took a little bit to get off the ground. But, with that sort of thing, they hired casters who had experience in other games and previous games. And now, those casters have experience in other games now too, because you can't cast Heroes of the Storm anymore because it's fuck. But
it's also not like saying that being a Heroes of the Storm caster was a bad thing, because casting any game is going to be relevant experience if you wanted to keep on trying it someplace else.
Yeah.
So if you're tier 1 of that game, like.
Yeah, but does
you're the best of everybody else.
Being tier 1 in an esport that later ended up dying while you were still with it, does that really mean anything?
If you're tier 1 in like a tier 3 esports, it's still a more valuable experience because you're going to get hired by the actual publisher, meaning you get valuable feedback from community-driven comments and stuff like that. It's going to be more valuable than being a tier 3 caster for a tier 2 or tier 1 esports. Like, honestly, like I don't think there's like any argument you can make there.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. These guys. They were flown out to California. They worked in Blizzard studios. They worked with the Blizzard staff, right? Blizzard, for the most part, except in like Korea, runs almost their entire game system, right? Blizzard Esports. They run their Hearthstone team. They run their WoW team, and they run their Overwatch team, right? Those are not contracted out. Tier 1 for all of those. None of that is contracted out. So working with Blizzard is effectively like working with a tier 1 organizer.
Yeah, okay. I suppose that makes sense.
Because
but I guess trying to rein it back a bit, the thing I'm even bringing up Heroes of the Storm is the fact that they had that problem, and they, over the course of 2 years, not locking anybody in. That was the beginning of a brand new esport. And I feel like in the scope of how CG Sports has already, been a thing for a couple of years, even though now it's finally getting like official like Ubisoft support, and it's not like getting locked into an ESL exclusivity contract. It's almost like we are now trying to take ourselves more seriously. But even in the face of that, it still feels like there are things that face it almost as though they're still making some very basic generic rookie mistakes. And I almost feel like, even though it's a good thing that now we've gone through the past couple of weeks to figure out who has synergy with who and what makes for a better broadcast, like with the talent that we have available for the EUL, it still feels like, that could have been something that didn't end up being an issue on broadcast at all. Like if there was just more time given for these guys to figure out like where they were going to fit into the grand picture of being an EUL broadcast talent, I still feel like there could have been better prep. How would I do it?
How would you let us try and get sync an actual match experience without it being tier 1 straight away? Because there wasn't really that much tier 2 going around.
Yeah. I mean, that it is a good point. I don't know if I really would have had a better solution other than to add additional tournaments prior to the start of the EUL, or to maybe
in classics. With me,
that's true.
Luke and Ace and Dez eventually. Like I believe back then, like the complete talent was already locked in. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel like it was part of me, I guess, at the end of the day. I guess my major point is that when FACEIT came in, there were just a lot of things that just kind of felt rushed, I guess.
Yeah, but okay, so the thing is, there was not much, like, it's always the case at Rainbow, right? The new season happens and then we get a delay again and stuff like that. So I'm actually happy we didn't have a delay this time, because I don't think I can recall a single Pro League season where we didn't have a delayed start. And I think the philosophy that FACEIT went for, together with Ubisoft, because Ubisoft does the actual production and FACEIT hires us. So we work with Ubisoft in the studio or online, and we work with FACEIT behind the scenes for like content, all that kind of stuff, you know?
Right,
like,
yeah.
It's a clear division. I think that the idea they have behind it is to try and do something new, right? Maybe we can find a new formula, and it's only the first 3 weeks, right? Like, it's been 3 weeks, it's been 21 days. We have tried something new. People didn't like it. We're going to be swapping off of it and going back to what people like. As we also find our synergy together. But like, what if we found something totally revolutionary right here and everybody would have loved it completely and we're like, oh my God, these guys are onto something. That would have been way more valuable for the esports as that it would be to just completely stick to the same system every single season without changing anything.
Yeah.
I think it's also the beautiful thing right now between the different formats we have across the regions. We have best of 3 LAN League in America. We have the best of 1s right now in Europe. And we have the best of 1 Swiss system without draws in APAC. Like, we can see now what works best for viewership wise and for actual competition wise. What do the players like best? Like, what is the most competitive? So maybe everything like next year gets streamlined again.
I honestly, yeah. And if I can play devil's advocate against my own point, it almost feels like, because this particular stage, I don't want to call it a throwaway stage, but because we're not having an actual major at the end of it, and we've had a whole bunch of things ruined because of the way that the world is currently working, it almost feels like if you were going to test things and try different things out as a proof of concept, why not now?
Yeah.
It's the same thing, right? If you were looking at last season of EUL, there was no relegations. Vitality absolutely completely shifted their roster around, and everybody's like, why would you do that? It's so dangerous. Yeah. Because there's no relegations. That if there's no risks there, you can do it. That's the moment when you make these changes to see if it works. So you can basically do it risk-free. Now, of course, it's not completely risk-free. That little disclaimer there, because we're still on live broadcast for tier 1 and it's being perceived by the community, and, you know, we make or break a broadcast eventually. But
right.
It is still the right moment to test things out, I think. So.
Yeah, and I guess you really don't have ways to break through moments of uncertainty without being able to figure out the stuff that doesn't work. And then once you find what doesn't work, then you can take that, learn from it, find a method of adaptation, and then find a way to streamline it after the fact. So you really don't understand like where the conflict comes in your job until you run into something not going right, and then you find a method of fixing it. So yeah, I guess maybe for a large portion of the community, it's just kind of been a difficult thing to accept that, hey, not everything was going to be perfect from the outset, and there were going to be bumps. But I think that there are some people that definitely just take it at face value and assume that nothing is going to change, and that, oh, we moved from ESL to FACEIT, and now the quality of our broadcast somehow is dipped. I'm like, to me, that seems like a short-sighted way of viewing it, because there will always be ways to improve it. And to be fair, if enough people scream at you, there will be a chance that something gets fixed. I mean, take a look at changes that Ubisoft has finally made to their game, even after long enough people yelled at them, and there have been changes implemented. So it's not like it doesn't produce results, but it's still not the best way of doing it.
People just don't like substantial change, right? If big things happen, big things change, people are not a fan of that. And a lot of people are a fan of like the broadcast viewers we had, but the only one that's still remaining went over towards NA. and thus we lose that one, and suddenly there's all these new faces that people have never seen on like a normal league stage doing the broadcast. So I think a lot of the criticism comes in there because a lot of us are still inexperienced and we need to get the hang of it, right? But I think it matches out nicely with the experience that, for example, Milos brings along. He's been really helpful to me personally, like giving me actually good feedback, which I try to implement. And I see people are starting to enjoy it more as well. So, like we need to learn, and we cannot learn within a day. It's something we gradually implement, because if I one day cast one way and then the other day completely different, people could be thinking, what's happening here? Like they're completely changing up their style completely. So of course it's not going to be without bumps, but we just need some time to get used to the actual standard of R6 casting. But we'll get there. It's like I'm pretty sure of that.
Oh no, you'll totally get there. Yeah.
And I mean, it's also important to remember that when we were under ESL, there was no change to any format besides like best of 3 to best of 1s, right? But it was always, you would have 4 people who would both host, do analysis, and cast. And those 4 people were in the same studio, and they would do it like for EU, NA, and LATAM. Right? So, and then we changed that. So now there's
respective studios with all of their respective talent crews.
Yeah,
I think it's good for the scene in esports, but
there's 3 different studios for 4 different scenes.
Yeah, we got like in London, we got the LATAM English broadcast. And then Apex South will be done by, I think, the Australian guy, but I'm not sure. Don't pin me on that. I don't know who does that or who will be doing it. Like LATAM. No, not LATAM. Like Apex South.
Apex South. Yeah, I would assume it's still ESL Australia's prerogative.
It's still like ESL is still indeed in charge of like APAC as a whole. So I assume that they will be taking care of the talent for that one. But I'm not sure, so I'm not going to be doing any guesstimations on that one.
That's
but
fair. I wouldn't
we get the Paris studio for APAC North and European League, which is a lot of teams. Actually, we need to prepare for 22 teams, and then twice, because we have 2 playdays for each, right? So it's like 44 teams that we need to prepare for. So it's a lot of work. So there's little to no time left to actually do VOD review and see what you did wrong in casting and go back on it. But, that's for the weekend, so you don't really see these immense changes coming down from day to day. And then you have NA, of course, doing NA in Canada.
Yeah, they do NA, Canadian League, and Challenger League.
And the Challenger Leagues.
And then there's also community casts of the Challenger League games, which aren't live, but they're VODs, and that's this moron.
Jacob.
And
Yep, that's me and a whole cohort of fellow morons who also did it for last season of NACL. We've taken the flag.
Is it the same 6 people, or is it different people?
It's about 75% of the old CL crew from North American CL. I think we had one of our casters stolen because Jesse casted with Red Cube and myself several times, but now he's an analyst for the NAL. So technically only one caster, 2 casters from last season are doing it. One of them because he has a commitment with the NAL. But we've also brought 2 people up from only having done North American T3 casts before that are brand new to doing stuff at a T2 level that I've worked with.
Is there a T3 level in North America?
Yes, and it's actually pretty... I don't think robust is the right word to describe NA T3, but it still has a very, very, supportive community in its own way. Like
in Europe, we call Tier 1 is Pro League, is EUL. Tier 2 will be Challenge League. Tier 3 is all the national scenes.
Right.
But your national scene is literally the US Nationals, which are all Pro League teams. So it's your Tier 3 scene is your Tier 1 scene, which doesn't make sense at all. So I have no clue what Tier 3 actually is in North America.
So if we were to compare, T3 in North America would be
Tier 4 in Europe.
No, not. It's like tier 3.5.
It's a whole bunch of independent leagues that some of which revolve a lot around underage talent, and then some of them, not the underage talent, but a whole bunch of people that compete in those independently organized tier 3 leagues are oftentimes the teams that we can see compete at a higher level and make it through qualifiers to get to Challenger League, which is still T2 for North America. So every time there's a qualifier for Challenger League, as much as it's dominated by teams that are usually consisting of former pros or people that have been in the T2 scene for a really long time, oftentimes there's usually one or two teams that are within the NA T3, those independent league systems that still like squeak in, I guess, that can still surpass.
The funny thing is, right, like the tier 3.5 leagues that you would have in Europe then are all filled with national teams as well. Because if you looked at ACS or like ESA, they're all filled with teams that are playing in Benelux, UK,
EU is better in every way.
No, we just have so many layers because we're so many different countries.
Right.
If you would be doing state championships, you would have the same thing as that we do. If you just do West Coast, East Coast, South, North, Middle, all that kind of stuff, make a couple of countries of that, let that feed into CL, it would have been like the same amount of stuff that we have for EU.
The same prospect,
but it's just too centralized in America to actually have that.
I mean, 2 countries, bro. You have 76.
There are some really
23.
good, like, there are some really good T3 talents. Specifically, the major issue though is T3 is just primarily like 16 and 17-year-olds.
Yeah, a lot of it is, yeah.
Right, where their path to pro isn't, oh, I need to get better. Their path to pro is literally some guy on like a T2 roster going like, dude, you're good. It's just like, you're 16. Just please.
Please just get older and don't stop playing the game.
Don't stop playing. Just age faster.
We had in Benelux. In Benelux, we had this guy that wanted to play Benelux League for so long, but we were 16 plus. Then we changed to 18 plus because we became a qualifier for CL.
No!
At the literal day he turned 16, we changed the day and we're like, I'm sorry, dude, we cannot say why yet, but this is, I'm sorry, you can't play. You have to wait another 2 years. I haven't heard from him since, so I'm not sure if he's still around. But like, it always hurts. Like he was so committed as well, and it's just unlucky. But I think like it would be good to have like an official underage. Like we cannot do that because the game is PEGI 18, so Ubisoft is never going to be allowed to make an official 18, except in the Netherlands because our PEGI ratings work differently. We could have a 16-year-old league if we want. Maybe we should just do like Pro League for 16-year-olds in the Netherlands. I think that's a good idea. But do something so the underage talent can develop, but also stay consistent and involved in the game, right? Like tier 3 scenes, they get like how much viewers? 60, 70 viewers on a broadcast day if they're lucky?
Less.
I'm not sure. I don't really look at that. So it's not that much exposure, and it will not really get picked up by the bigger teams. And I think what we would really like to see is where these 16 and 17-year-olds, especially the 17-year-olds that are about to turn 18, get picked up by some big org and put under their wings. They're going to be helping them develop as a good player, and then in the meantime put in some small team where they get some competitive experience. So when they turn 18, there might be actually a good sub or actual replacement for one of the players that might quit. Because we're coming at a point right now where Siege is 5-year-old. But we still have a lot of the same players as we did in the early first 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? At some point, players are going to be quitting. We already see a couple of them quit. There's going to be need of new fresh blood, and I think it's best if we combine that with the experience of the people who have been playing this game competitively for 5 years. But that doesn't seem to be happening right now. So,
so we talked about that a little bit last week with Reaper, right? There was this team, Oblivion, which was a T3 team, pretty famously T3 underage team that used to scrim with PL players, and now one retired, and then 4 of them have found their way onto Pro League rosters, either as main players or subs, right?
Yep.
And so, these are not teams with little experience, right? You've got Iconics, NJR, J90, and Lags, right?
You got them all right. I'm proud of you. Good job.
J90. So
Fuck off.
I don't really have time to watch NA, so I only got NGR.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
There's a lot of Siege to consume right now.
Yeah,
I need sleep as well between broadcast days,
No, just pipe up on caffeine and you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
God, who was it? Was it
that much? I basically don't drink caffeine, so it's I know it's crazy, but I managed to stay awake. So
was it Geo who said that we're eventually going to get Siege fatigue?
Yeah, but then I swear I remember like Parker's last bang on in Tarot specifically was like, yeah, there's just so much Siege to consume right now. It's just overwhelming. It's like an overwhelming amount of Siege was his terminology.
I mean, I go to work, Siege is on. I come home from work, Siege is back on. I go to bed
now.
Siege
is like the only day when there's no Siege.
There's no Siege now, but when I woke up this morning, Siege was on.
And it was Apex.
Right? It's 5 days a week.
No, more. Last time is in the weekends.
Oh, fuck.
See, okay, here's
every single day.
My philosophy on that's a little different because I feel like I don't get tired like watching like the Brazilian stream that Ace and Jackie are doing for BR6.
He's brilliant.
Not only is it really, really good, and I very much enjoy the quality of that broadcast, but I think I like that in its own way because I only see them. I see them less frequently than I would see you guys on EUL or any of the guys we have in the NAL because we see them, you know, guaranteed twice a week all the time, and we're always like super invested in that. And then there's this stream done in English for BR6 that doesn't get nearly as much like. It's not nearly as much attention because it's Brazil. It doesn't hit nearly as hard with the Western audience, but it's still like, hey, here's this other cool thing, and it has its own like quaint little quality to it that for some reason
it's the same with APAC though. I'm pretty sure I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure the Korean and Japanese stream they do better than the mainstream because that's where most of their audience comes from, right?
Oh my god, the Japanese stream is ridiculously fun.
I don't know how many people watch that. I saw someone with a sponge underneath their headset though when I was watching Korean Pro League.
It's on YouTube confused. And they get like
150k on VODs, which is absolutely amazing.
They get like 150,000 viewers on VODs. I think they have like anywhere between 12 to 15,000 live viewers or something during like finals and stuff. Like it's insane how much the Japanese love Siege, but like it's crazy.
But I mean, like I see Natur saying that we actually do better than the other streams, so I'm gonna say then okay, we do better. But indeed, like 150k views on like the Japanese VODs and stuff like that is absolutely insane. People, it's not like they watch it real time. It's like they watch it back after. You know, when some people watch podcasts when they have breakfast. These people, I guess, they'll just put up a Siege match of their favorite team to see how they did and then have breakfast. I'm not sure like what's happening, but. It's too many views. I don't get it. How you can get so much
a Japanese routine looks like in the morning.
Well,
honestly,
I mean, just as someone who follows like a lot of Siege content creators from Japan, you can very much tell when people start waking up in the morning in Japan and when people start going to bed in the morning in Japan, because you know it's just your feed lights up in nothing but kanji and Korean, and it's just that like I go to bed and that's when Japan wakes up and I look at my Twitter feed and it's like 12 or 15 posts straight that I have to translate, and then some NA pro who's like rise and grind at like 2 p.m. right?
So many NA people when I wake up for APAC and they're still awake and I'm like, why are you awake still? Why are you not sleeping? Didn't you just have North American Pro League to watch? You're going to be watching APAC? No, what are you doing awake if you're not going to watch this? You know?
Well, it's the very traditional. It's the very traditional NA way of. Yeah, we get up at like 2 p.m. and then we scrim at like 3.
Oh.
And then we stop scrimming at like 11. And then we just play ranked until like 4 in the morning, and then we go back to bed.
We just keep doing it over and over and over again until game time, and then we just keep on repeat.
And then in EU, it's like, oh, what's your week look like?
I wake up at 8 and I go to sleep right after cast. Doesn't matter if it's APAC or if it's EU, I go to sleep. I'm tired. Yep. In one day in APAC, I did 45 rounds in a row.
Oh my!
Like I'm telling you, dude. I was dying on the inside. I needed sleep after that one.
You guys are pulling marathons for 5 weeks every 3 months, or you will be, because you're still within the first stage, so it's the first marathon. That's still nuts. And I know that there are some of you that after you're done with EU will go and watch North America like straight straight after, and I'm like, how do you
I'm not
have
doing that.
the brain capacity? How do you have the time to do? I don't understand.
CGG, they asked me for the predictions of NA as well. I'm like,
I don't know.
I'm like, how am I supposed to watch that? Just that one seems good to me. Like, I went for E United and
regretted it.
And Space Station Gaming. Space Station Gaming won, but E United lost just barely. Should have gone for my man Slevin, but
oh boy.
Did he play actually yesterday? I have no clue if he still plays.
Slevin and Gonfi have their visa issues sorted. They are playing.
If I knew that, I would have definitely said go for Sonics. I don't even know how to say the full name. I'm not going to attempt either. Like, you know, you have my name, Steinhappers.
Okay,
yeah, I'm not going to say that. No.
Say what? Sus.
A chowder.
No. We're just not even going to go there? All right, fair enough. Susquehanna.
I don't care. I'm saying it's Susquehanna.
Sonic, dude. Sonics.
And there are plenty of people that every time I mispronounce the word Susquehanna will correct me, and every time I say it wrong on a YouTube comment. Yeah, I know. But I say it how I want to say it. Screw you, native people of Pennsylvania. I don't care.
Okay, U.S. government, let's calm down.
Yeah, that hit a little bit too close to home for the native people. I'm going to shut up.
So walk us through a week in the life of Hap during all this.
Okay, so
start on Monday, end on Sunday.
Monday, I wake up. I have a very rigid sleeping schedule. There's nothing in the world that can mess that up, by the way. Like, I've tried many times. I went to sleep at 4 or 5 a.m. I just wake up 8 a.m. No alarm, nothing. Regardless, no matter what happens.
That happens to me. That happens to me at like 8:15. I wake up.
Yeah,
done.
It's always like 8:03 or something like that. I wake up and sometimes I just go back a little bit, you know, if I can. But then it's Monday, right? And you know, I have to go and cast at I have to be in call at 5. And at 6 I will be live. So first I do some prep, right? I'll go watch some of the old VODs, make some notes for the games I'm casting, just something to keep in mind. Then check what I want to talk about in the analyst segment that I have, which is 1 or 2, depending on our new schedule right now, instead of 3 or 2. Then I go play some games because I have some free time and I still need to maintain sanity at least a little bit. So I got a steering wheel. And about that, this is actually like a scam by the retailer, but that's okay. The steering wheel everywhere else costs 220 euros. But as soon as the game comes out and everybody's a big Max Verstappen fan, right? They put up the Xbox version of F1 2020. Who owns a Xbox? No one does. No one owns it. Well, maybe you guys do, but we don't. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? So they added 50 euros on the price on top of that. And I messaged them. I'm like, can I just take away the game and get 50 euros discount so it's back on the price that it used to be 2 to 3 months ago? And like, no, this is a combi deal, so we cannot change it. So I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll buy it anyway, right? So I just got the game.
Who are you buying it from?
Well.
Like GXT?
What?
Like
GXT?
Isn't that a
no?
seller
It's not It's not Trustmasters. No.
Okay.
It's I bought a Logitech G920, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. But the game was on there, and I didn't want it, so I put it online. So if someone wants an Xbox copy with Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc on it, then hit me up, and I'll be able to sell it to you. But I'll sign it for you, even if you want, and say like Trashcaster of the EUL or something like that. You know,
I was gonna say,
make it any
why would you want to sign it and just decrease its value, bro? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's already secondhand as soon as I touched it, so it doesn't really matter in that case anymore.
Yeah.
I bought a steering wheel. I literally spent my entire Monday like trying to actually calibrate that because I couldn't make the corners. I'm not so good of a driver, but after that, I finally managed to actually calibrate it, and then we had to start on the stream. So I went to stream. We had the first day of duos, went well. We ended like 12 or something. Went to bed, basically fell asleep in 5 minutes. Then wake up again at 8, realized I got a bunch of text messages about the previous day. I'm like, fuck, okay, missed that. I went to sleep, sorry, you know, like, it's about feedback and stuff like that. And then, like, I have like 2 hours before Apex starts. So, you know, it's like, you don't really have time to wake up or to play a game, because as soon as you play a game, it's like your time's already over by the time it's booted, especially if you still need to download the Modern Warfare patch. Which doesn't really work out.
Very
hold on.
So I just do nothing. I get breakfast and walk my dog and then go cast APAC, and then normally I go to sleep like around half an hour ago. So
yeah, So then that process for like Monday to Tuesday is duplicated onto Wednesday and Thursday over the same week.
I'm not sure if I'm going to play F1 tomorrow yet, but like normally, yes, it would be pretty similar. Like I might be playing a video game throughout the day.
I would just like to say, for the record, I just booted up Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and it immediately started downloading a patch.
That's what I mean, man. You can never play that game if you want to, not in 2 hours.
It was.
You want to keep your computer on constantly.
It was small. It was only like 150 megabytes. But like,
downloads for 5 kilobytes a second.
I was talking to my brother, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to play a game?" And he's like, "Yeah, do you want to do duos in Modern Warfare? You want to play gunfight?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And I boot it up, and there's a 30 gigabyte update.
Yup. How big is that
Europe
game in total now?
5 kilobytes a second because the servers
I
are
have it uninstalled. Go check the file size for what Modern Warfare looks like now.
I
it has to be
as well.
Massive.
It's like 100 gigs or something, if not more.
Yeah. It's just so many up. I just stopped because I just can't
I need the space on my SSD. Put 6 games
Properties.
on that for
It is 192 gigabytes.
That's what I need, dude. I can put up like 10 to 20 games for that space on my SSD.
It is 1/4 of my M.2 drive.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You can fit Rainbow Six
Same.
and the Rainbow Six test server on there and still have space left over.
And with the Ultra HD textures.
Yeah. No, you could
40 gigs on both.
No, the Ultra
So would
HD
have, like,
textures
80
add another 30 gigs, so you would be...
Yep.
And Rainbow is already 72,
It's
so I think you'd be at 200
140 gigs.
Yeah.
Literally right about the
140
same
gigs for
Modern
both.
Warfare file size, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so that kind of summarizes your Monday through Thursday, and then you get your weekend. If that's the only time that you mentioned that you're able to go back and like VOD review because of how strenuous the rest of the schedule
Yeah,
is.
like on Friday I do some VOD reviews, right? And some content stuff as well. So we can still, it's a contracted day, so we're working on that, or at least we're supposed to work. So I'm doing VOD reviews, getting some stuff done to make sure I can take that in for the next week. Preparing some of the statistics as well, see what's still possible. Who's going to be able to outdo BDS and make sure they don't take it, for example. And that's what Rogue did.
You couldn't help yourself, could you?
You really couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't help it. I had to do it.
Bitch.
I mean, I could go way lower than that.
Do it.
Do it.
This
Do it,
podcast
Stein.
so far is going better than your film career. So I think you should be sticking to this. All right. I'm going to turn on one light because overexposing.
I'm going to go back to bed.
All right, do it. Dare you. He just made it as well, by the way, because he wouldn't be able to show it.
Chowder's having a really hard time processing this too, by the way.
Ooh, that was a banger. Okay.
Oh.
That was such a banger, I actually dropped my Palm Pilot. But... Shut the fuck up, Jacob. I don't need this. For those wondering, wait, is that actually... Yes, this is actually a Palm Pilot.
Palm Pilot.
Oh.
I bought it on
just
eBay.
For the bacon joke too.
to make a joke, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's...
Boomer. Oh my god.
Okay, so Friday you're doing VOD review and content creation for Face It, and then Saturday and Sunday.
Well, these 2 weeks, Formula 1 have been on, and the next week as well. So I'm just, relaxing with that. Just watch some sports and play some games, and just wind down a little bit. Just take some time for yourself, because there's not really that much you have during the 4 days of broadcasting that you can actually sit back and relax yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are...
Gotta keep a healthy mind.
Yeah, I mean, how long is it between APAC starting and EU ending?
Like 11, 12 hours.
Yeah, it's enough time for a good sleep.
It's enough time for a good sleep. Not many of us do, because a lot of the casters actually need to wind down. I used to have that as well. Wind down for like 1-2 hours. I think you know as well, Jacob. After you had a really exciting match, you just need to come back to your senses, because the adrenaline's still going in, and you need to step that down. But I don't know, somehow in EUL I've managed to or that But somehow I've been able to just close my eyes in the EUL days and just instantly fall asleep. So that hasn't really been a problem.
Well, I mean, you wake up at 8 and you go to bed at like 1 in the morning.
12.
So it's, yeah. So I imagine you're just probably like no amount of adrenaline can beat your exhaustion at that point.
The caffeine doesn't even have an effect on me. If I can down 3 Red Bulls and I can just sit here, just be ever calm as well, and not like I can drink 3 Red Bulls. 10 minutes later, I can go sleep if I want to. Like honestly, like it doesn't really do anything.
I'm jealous.
For me,
I have a Monster at 11 and I'm up to 3. I'll be honest. Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't be drinking a Monster at 11 then. If you can handle it, you can sleep.
No, I mean 11 in the morning.
Oh, that
puts it in perspective.
Yeah. Gotta use those AMs and PMs, Chowder. Come on.
Nah, don't worry about it. Yeah, I think I know I can definitely relate to the caster point, just because sometimes, but oftentimes I feel like whenever there's been like a really exciting day, it usually turns into a post broadcast discussion with like all of the teams that are involved that we've been with before, because we've had to run multi-streams before. Like you guys ran multi-streams when you were doing CL, but these days not so much anymore. But you still have like a bigger team that you're working with. It's not just you, your observer, your co-caster, and your producer. It's more than just 4 people. So you're able to like all come together, like all discuss it. And I think a lot of the time, especially like when I'm done with casts, we'll all come together. We'll have like this one big like powwow, like right at the very end, like when everything is all finished. And it's a lot of like, hey, you did really good at this. Like we're all being supportive. We're all like trying to like be wholesome with one another. Sometimes we have like some legitimate like feedback or criticism that we want to talk about, or like, hey, can we sort this issue out or something? But oftentimes, like after coming down from a cast, for me, it feels like once we launch into those post-broadcast like meetings, basically, that's where all of that can finally like start to come back down a little bit.
We have that on Fridays. Yeah. Right? Because, no, I mean, the thing is, right, we start at like 6, but the production team is already there like 3 or something, like getting everything ready. We're also preparing, and then we have a 6 to 7 hour broadcast going in, right? And if it's APEC, it could be up to 8 hours if it's like really, really slow and long.
Yeah.
So we are exhausted at the time it's ended, and we know that we need to get up early again in the morning to get everything done. Now, of course, I just shower and you put something in my hair and put a shirt on and I'm done, but like, you know, there's still time needed. So people just go to sleep. We go to sleep. Like there's no real time to actually process it. So we just either talk about it in our free time, or we talk about it on the Fridays and see because the thing is, we have 2 shows, or basically 4 shows, where NA only has basically the tier 1 to really worry about. And then they still have, of course, the Challenge League and stuff, but it's going to be like, they have a bit more time, I think, to actually do those kind of post-production things. We don't really have the time. If we also going to be adding in like an hour and a half talk every single time we end broadcasting, we would all be dead. Like we're not going to be able to pass 2 weeks without crashing on stream.
Especially when it just turns into such a hardcore schedule as you guys have.
When you get maximum rounds in every single game in APAC with a lot of rehosts and also patch day on Tuesday because it makes you wait 1.5 hours.
Oh my God. I was sitting there and I'm like, how many games went all the rounds? Was it like 4?
Dude, almost every game goes up to 12 rounds.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah.
It's always like that. Like only when they restarted the seeding and they actually based it off number 1 against number 12, number 2. That was a quick day. But everything since or before that has been just,
I mean, that Giants game was ridiculous.
7-5, 7-5, 8-7, 8-6, 7-4, 8-7. Wow.
Yeah.
Good grief.
No, these games, like, if you're not watching APAC, I beg you, please watch APAC, because, like, these games are nuts.
It's so chaotic. I cannot
Every
make
one
a
of those
sense
games
like,
is either an overtime finish, max round, or 1 round away from max round.
Yeah, but like, so the thing is, right? If we're watching EU, it's really step by step. Every single thing that happens, like they open the wall, they get rid of the utility, they waste the ADSs, they waste the magnets, they start pushing in as a whole from 2 different sides. APAC is like jumping out from that window,
Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly like there's 3v3 with 2 minutes left to go, and no one really knows what to do, and somehow, even if it's like a 5-2, it still comes down to the last very 20 seconds before they go with the execute. And then the defenders still win. And you're like, you have been 5v2 for 2 minutes. I don't really get like how some of these rounds progress, but it's absolutely wild. And it's hard to actually keep track of when you're mid-cast.
My favorite part about every every single APAC game is just which team is going to play Clash and which team is going to play Monty, because eventually they always run into each other. And it's the funniest thing in the world when Monty swings the doorway and Clash swings the door at the same time.
Just like, oh, hello, you're here too.
And they're just like, and then they just back up a little bit. Like, what was it? It was in that last round of the Giants versus Cyclops, I think it was. Right? Was that today?
That was
today.
I
think I had a break during that one, so I think I just went to actually make food.
That's fair. Yeah.
The thing is, like, Apex starts at 11 for me, and it ends at like 7 or 8. So I miss lunch and I miss like dinner. So I like during Apex days, it's actually rare I have a hot meal in that day because I just quickly need to grab something because I have like 10 to 5 minutes and I need to go live again. So it's like, and I cannot cast on an empty stomach. So I actually need to have something in there. Otherwise, I'm just dying.
Absolutely.
Like,
but you at least have the guarantee on APAC days that it's not going to be like you have time, like a more extended time during your breaks, because APAC games typically don't turn into a one-sided rout or a one-sided blowout. It's usually pretty consistently competitive across every APAC game, just from looking at the scores.
Yeah, but you think that, and then it's like, all right, I got a break now. You stay chatting a bit with the analysts, and then suddenly it's 6-1 for Fnatic. You're like, well, there goes my break. And then, oh, guess what? They managed to throw it, and it turns into an 8-6 for the other team. You're like, come on, dude. We're just on match point for the entire time already. And that, like, if it's on match point, you don't go do something else because it could be ending any single second, and you need to be able to jump back in.
You're on call
they
again.
Sit there, they
but
sit there and they win 7
8-6,
rounds in a row, right?
Come on, dude. Don't put me through this.
Yeah. Oh man. Y'all are champions right now. I don't think I would have been able to stomach something like that. You guys are freaking rocking it. Like,
Thank you.
It's legitimately super impressive, and you guys deserve all the confidence in the world for what you guys are doing over there. It's insane. You're doing a phenomenal job. But that said, is there any possibility that going forward, and we kind of talked about using this stage as a proof of concept, is there any possibility that maybe in the future it doesn't require you to cram your schedule in like nearly as hard? Like, I would love it if it didn't turn into a scenario where you're having such a limited amount of time between broadcasts and doing 4 shows a week. Like, as much as that probably seems like something you would expect if you were going into casting at a full-time capacity, is there
I don't mind it, honestly.
You don't mind that?
No, I can keep on going. It's just there's less room to improve from day to day. But honestly, if I could cast every single day of the week, I would. I mean, yesterday I did break my voice though in round number 1 of BDS and Tempra, which was really, really bad timing. And that one also went to like maximum amount of rounds. So I had to cast 11 rounds with like a pain in my throat, constantly going through and still being able to hype. But like, it's just I know how to deal with that kind of stuff right now. So I know how to manage it, and I know how to repair it for like the next day. If I could cast every single day of the week, I would be totally doing it. Like,
oh my god,
no worries for me. I like it. This is the thing I love to do, especially in English. In Dutch, I wouldn't do it. First of all, I absolutely despise Dutch casting. I don't want to do it ever again. But like in English, if they were given the opportunity to cast 5 days a week, I would.
All right. I guess. Yeah. Maybe the reason why I'm like there's 4 shows all in a row and it's all the same people, maybe that kind of lends itself a little bit to the idea of there just being a little bit too much of it. Like, I don't know how many people who also support the idea, but I liked it when what was it, season 9, before they moved back into super weeks. I don't remember if it was season 9 or season 10, but I did like it when it was like, okay, this day of the week is this region, this day of the week is this region, so on and so forth. Like, even though it was the same like 2 duos that were working that all at the same time, and like the same production crew, like the same like quality of broadcast every time I still remember, oh hey, I can wake up and know Monday is Europe Day, Wednesday is North America Day, blah, blah, blah. And it just keeps on progressing. Yeah, but it's almost like, oh, we have 2 days a week when we're going back to having the same region play again. And I don't know if that is more beneficial to keep on cramming it into having 2 matches per week, or if it's more beneficial for talent and for teams to have the same amount of time to prepare for every opponent every week rather than having to cram in.
I think for APEC it's really shitty.
Is it?
For Europe, it shouldn't matter because they can advance and, like they can pre-advance and do the preparation for the teams. But APAC only knows right now who they will be playing Thursday. Because it's Swiss. They don't know beforehand who they're playing against,
I
right?
have
So
no
that
idea.
preparation is a lot more non-existent than it would be for EU. And I think that's why we see a lot of these wild games, because it's just impossible to prepare for 11 other teams that you might be going up against.
That's a good point.
And like, you cannot prep 7 maps, 11 teams in 2 days. So you need to...
I mean, maybe you
You
can.
need to find out. Well, I mean, if you have like 20 support staff, you could. But like,
What do you think's behind the green screen?
I mean, I don't know if you're prepping for... Which
A
team
whole
are you
bunch
with
of
then?
empty vodka
Are you
bottles
with
and a
Chaos? Because it
sledgehammer.
doesn't really seem to be working out if you are.
Hey.
No, I'll love to Chaos, though. They're definitely a fun team to watch. Just not really sure as why they cannot seem to be getting the wins in. I really hope they would be doing better, especially with Crime being at it.
Yeah, it feels like they should be doing better. But
yeah, there seems to be like something in there that just stops them from doing that.
I mean, the sad part about Chaos, actually the sad part about it is what makes the whole situation that they're in a little bit more exciting now. Because Chaos...
that they were in relegation space?
Right, but now we're looking at the 3 teams that are all going to be fighting to make sure that they don't get auto-relegated, and that's what
Which is
Chaos,
Empire
Secret,
also?
and Empire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my word, I didn't expect to see this
Empire
collapse
in
so
there?
fast.
Yeah, no one would have thought that.
No.
Like, Empire and Secret currently on 5 points, and I believe like Chaos is still on 2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
So, like, luckily,
Let's just fact check
right?
this.
You don't
so
relegate
Empire and
after each
Secret are on
stage.
5. Chaos is on 4.
Oh, 4. All right.
Who has the round differential? Is it Secret or Empire?
No, it's head-to-head. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, then the...
I believe
That
Secret
means-
beat Empire, so like
Secret's
Secret
in
will
8th
be
place and
over
Empire's
Empire.
in 9th. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. I didn't
So
think
they
we
win
would
that
be at this
mini
point.
league. So Empire is in a relegation spot right now, but luckily, it's over 2 stages. So even if Empire end up 8th this season, but they manage to end up 2nd next season, then they're totally fine. So
Right, because it's
nothing
based
is
on
lost for any of these teams
ranking
yet.
rather than like season
No, you add
standing.
up
It's
the
all based
points
on
of
ranking.
both standings at the
Yeah.
end, and then mini league as well. So it's basically still a round robin to decide who will relegate, but for the actual major, it's a single round robin.
You just have to factor in the calculations from how the previous season or the previous stage ended into who all goes for that
And then you have
relegation
APAC,
spot.
which is even more complicated. We have Stage 1, Phase 1, which is ended, which means Giants gained like 2,000 points. And we're now in Stage 1, Phase 2. And then you're going to have Stage 2, Phase 1 and Stage 2, Phase 2. And then the total of everything together will decide who gets relegated or not. So it's like... But they also have a really weird system, because if like you're already the champion of your national championship and you relegate, you're staying in Pro League, something like that. So it's like... Because you're playing your own region respectively as something I'm not 100% sure on that one, but
What, for
seems
the
to be
winner of
something like
CL, technically? Or
no, you don't have CL for APAC, right?
Oh,
So they
that's
have, like,
right. Yeah, that's
The national leagues feed in directly into Pro League.
mhm.
But the thing is, if you win your national league, but you're in a relegation spot, you're basically balancing yourself out, so you're staying in. So it's really like beneficial for you to win your national league if you're in a spot where you might be losing out on your spot. And then, of course, the teams who are doing well in APAC are not going to be trying as hard in your national league to try and stay in. So, there's
That's
like
true. Yeah.
Right.
this little... Because many people say, why do all these Pro League teams look so shitty in like the national leagues? Because you're playing 3 match days a day, you don't want to prep for every single one of them, and the national league is, sorry, but least important. So no one really cares about that one. It's like 20,000 euros is like number 1 prize.
Yeah.
It's still 4,000 euros, but these players already make a salary of like 4,000 a month. So it's like, it's an extra month, but losing out on like the major, which is like $500,000 for that.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Okay, so I just got a text from my dad that said, hey, there's a storm coming in and we might lose power, which has happened before. It's not bad right now, but the past couple of times we've had winds that have gotten this crazy, we've definitely... Yeah, and now you probably...
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you hear that?
we heard that.
Yeah, you
It's
heard
not
that.
that bad.
Not yet.
Or
I don't
striking
know.
down.
Hey guys, look, it's not that bad. And then just the clap of lightning sound effect from fucking Frankenstein plays in the background, right? Boo.
So I could die. Is there anything else that we wanna drill hap on real quick? Other than wasn't there a I saw Veli put out a tweet that had a name that combined the duo for Geo and Dev, and there was one for Jess and Zeronic, and there wasn't one for you.
Where am I? I've still casted some of these matches.
So
you can just leave.
So what's it going to be? What's it going to be? Well, okay, so it can't be one of them because you can't say one of them. So it's got to be Hess.
Wait, we cannot say one of them?
Yeah, when you put it the other way.
Yep, that's why we put it the way we did.
Yeah, Hess.
So it's actually...
It has to be Hess, yeah.
It has to be Hess.
Hess means hate in German. I mean, it will kind of, feed into the community feedback we're getting for some of these casts. So it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Tap into the power of everybody else.
Power.
Yeah. Use it as fuel to improve your broadcast quality.
Go to the dark side.
Yeah.
Hess.
It's just, Geo and Des, thank you for hosting. And it just switches to Hap and Jess. And they're both like sitting. Yeah, they've got hoods up. Like one of them just goes,
for the next EUL.
Execute Order 69.
What I want to do,
like Hap just turns the lightsaber on.
I mean, I had a lightsaber. I mean, you could
have a lightsaber, don't
you? I'm thinking about a new gig to put up, right? And I'm 6 foot, and Jess is like smaller than Doki.
Yes, Jess is about 3 feet tall. Yeah.
So I was thinking of putting up my chair, right? Like, hold up, can I actually do it properly? And then, because when we're in the studio, I'm going to be like, she's going to be coming up to like here for me. So she's going to have to stand on like some box.
Oh yeah, she'll have to get the box out. Yeah.
She had a box and invite, which I have a video of.
So I was thinking about, what if I'm just framed right here, just sitting like this, and then, sorry, Jess, I'll put myself to your level and then go down like that. I mean, would that be a good way to start stream?
There it is. The hammered height joke of the week. We did it. We found a way to pull.
It's not Doki this time.
It's not Doki. It's not.
It's Jez.
God,
I'm really disappointed. The fact that you guys didn't see I have my own face on my t-shirt right now.
Wait, what?
What? Yeah. I noticed like the Benelux logo and stuff, but you have your face on it?
Yeah.
It's like the teams that played in season 4, and like I'm right here, and this is Stoldersma. We get our own face on it. It's like,
oh my god,
like season 4
cool.
finals.
Yeah.
We make this kind of merch every single season.
Why can't we get merch like that?
Because we're working on hiring artists to do our merch, Chowder.
Oh, that's fair.
Should we talk about that real quick?
I mean, a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
Quickly plug yourself.
So if you are an artist who is looking to design merchandise for our stream, our Twitter DMs are open. We have a business email. Just feel free to
hammeredcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, hammeredcast@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. The way that it works is, okay, Hap, what?
If you don't put jorts in the merch, then you're a shit artist.
I think we're legally obligated to make hammered jorts.
We have to make like one pair of jorts. Yeah,
just for the one dude who does it.
Right? Yeah.
He's gonna buy
just for hidden. Just for hidden. We have to put jorts merch out. So
like some
okay,
jorts
now it's actually
raining. So it's like big jorts and the
so we're gonna make this quick because Jacob's about to die. We have absolutely no interest in dicking around artists.
For a new host?
Yeah. So there will be an upfront commission price as well. You will get royalties on all sales. For those of you wondering, we have absolutely no interest in doing like merch drops where it's like, oh, limited edition. Like you have 6 hours to get this shirt before it sells out.
That's
crap. Just why? So if you make us merch, until you tell us to take it off your store because Jacob accidentally, I don't know, called a man like an aglet, and what? You have to aglet. It's the little metal bit on the end of your shoelace that sort of sounds like an ethnic slur.
A nestle, we call it in Dutch.
A nestle. Interesting. That's a good one.
With the Phineas and Ferb song, that's actually the only reason why I know, because they were...
For like, us, that Phineas and Ferb song was aglet, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like the Dutch word is nestle, so they used nestle for the Dutch song because we have that one dubbed. That's the only reason I know it. It was actually educational.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
sorry.
If you have any interest, feel free to send us a message. And if we got anything wrong in this podcast, hammeredcorrections@gmail.com. Send us an email, and we will read our corrections, which we're about to do right now. Let's see. Did we get any corrections this week? We got...
George.
Hello, Sam here. This is a corrections email. However, I'm going to use this as a review because fuck Apple. He gave us a 10 out of 10.
What?
And then he goes on to talk about how he would rework Twitch.
Oh, hey, I forgot about the review. That's right. I forgot we were going to read a review at the beginning.
Sure, I'll read this review.
Yeah, do it.
I would like to say this is one of my favorite podcasts. I think that the insight you and your guests give is fantastic, along with that it's fun to listen to. Overall, 10 out of 10. So thank you.
Yay!
Thank you, Sam, for the review. We appreciate it, but yeah.
You can stop lying to us anytime and tell us how much you actually hate this podcast. It's okay, but we appreciate you lying to us all the
Don't
same.
do it on Twitter because you get banned just like Jacob.
Yeah.
By the way.
Tweet. Never
I mean,
mind.
we had to bribe Hap to get it. Do you have any idea? I had to get him a Van de Admiral. They haven't even planted those since 1649.
We had to pay him more than Dark Zero had to pay Carol Baskins to do that.
Do you have any
tweet.
idea how hard it is to find a dead tulip bulb that hasn't been grown since 1640?
You've made a
We
reference
are
about
still
what people
paying
are going to
tulip
get.
balls instead of actual euros in the Netherlands, by the way. It's the true Richmond currency.
I mean,
I
yeah.
have 20,000 tulip balls in my bank account. Like, Faceit pays me in tulip balls as well. So.
They're just sitting there like, what? Why do we have to? How did this get in his contract? It's Dutch law. Just don't ask.
Just don't ask questions. Please just work with us.
I had to get in at least one tulip joke.
I mean, Gassan gets paid in renown and I get paid in tulips.
That's
fair. I think mine is more valuable. So,
Yeah. Jess gets paid in Tim Tams.
yeah.
Good one. What does
yeah.
Dev get paid in if Jess gets paid in Tim Tams?
Milo.
Same thing.
What?
He gets paid in bird cookies. No, bird cookies, I was going to say. And dog cookies, because he needs to feed the dog who's the actual star of the show.
That's fair.
That's fair.
And then Zoronic gets paid in beard oil.
With his own logo on it.
Beard
Have you
oil
seen
and
that?
Killcliff,
They have like beard oil with his logo on it because they just Googled it and then like it's the first
Oh,
thing
yeah,
that pops up.
the
Beard, yeah.
He's already a signature.
He's getting paid with his own
whatever beard oil he
brand
uses.
logo.
If I ever get serious about wanting to grow this out beyond just the scruff, which I think this looks better than when I've had beards before anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't grow past a certain point. Like at some point, it's like sitting there and like.
I mean,
just
no.
stops. Yeah.
What I need to do is just get
something.
over. Or I need to get past the point of understanding that I will probably, I will look really, really crappy until it looks good, and then I'm able to make the
That's every
adjustments
beard
to it.
ever, Jacob.
I know, but every time I try to do one, it's always this, nothing, this, pretty decent.
when you
Under
do
the
it,
neck, I look like Chewbacca. Like,
Then just
as
trim
well.
under the neck.
when there's like a 3-month break and there's nothing on, that's when you start growing your beard. So when you appear into public again, suddenly you have this
You
majestic
just
beard,
have
and
this
everybody's
thing.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
"How did you get it?"
A lot of hard
just
work
disappear
and
from broadcast.
altering my genetic code to give me something that gives me better beard
That's fair.
access. Because that just might be what it takes.
All right. Hap. Now that this is the
Yes.
end of the podcast, this is about the time that we generally give our guests unlimited free reign on anything they want to plug, anything they want to say. The floor is yours.
Als je graag ook stroopwafels wilt eten, zoek dan even het stroopwafelrecept van Koopmans op. Dan weet je wel wat ik bedoel, denk ik. Goodbye.
Help!
What is that? What did he say?
I just told them to, if they want to eat stroopwafels, which is like a very good Dutch.
Oh, I fucking love Stroop waffles. Oh, they're so
Yeah,
good.
You
I
have
can
to,
too,
you have
yeah.
to find the Koopmans recipe. It's
The Coatman's Stroop waffles?
Koopmans.
Of all the things to plug, thanks for watching Hammered this week, everybody. I've used his time. No, if you legitimately have anything you want to plug, brother, go ahead.
No, I just plugged my stroopwafels. Cultural heritage. It's important. Get straight to my cultural self. I'm from the Benelux, okay? I'm not like some English-speaking broadcaster. I'm some Dutch guy that worked hard to be where he is right now, and I'm showing it by plugging my stroopwafels, all right? My stroopwafels are important, and that's what matters.
You got to make a Stroop Waffle reference somewhere on T1
Stroop
broadcast.
waffle
reference.
reference.
Stroop Waffle reference.
Can you say Stroop waffle 3 times fast?
Stroop Waffle.
No, you already messed it up.
No,
I
you
already
messed it up. You messed it up.
Warfel.
Stroop Raffle.
This has been the Hammered Fuck, it's
Dutch,
contagious. This has been the Hammered Podcast. Thank you for listening. Good night.
Get colonized, nerd.
No, it's gekoloniseerd.
Get colonized.
It's the traditional Dutch war cry.